At 9:17 a.m., FBI agents and law enforcement officials discovered a lifeless body in the Spread Creek dispersed camping area in the Bridger-Teton National Forest in Wyoming on September 19, 2021. Inside, they discovered a crime scene that would shock the entire country. But investigators quickly realized something disturbing. The suspect had already spoken to police days earlier. What followed was one of the most disturbing investigations in recent history. Tonight, through the shadow lens, we examine the chilling truth behind Gabby Petito's case. Investigators soon discovered a handwritten message of the victim and that of her supposed spouse-to-be, a message that would change the entire case. In 2021, a young woman disappeared during a road trip with her fiancé. Weeks later, a disturbing truth emerged, and the internet realized it had been watching the clues all along. This is a true life story of the van life that hit a storm. The first thing people noticed about Gabby Petito was the smile. It wasn't the quiet kind. It was the kind that filled the frame. In photographs, in TikTok clips, in the little travel videos she posted online, Gabby seemed like someone who had figured out life early. A young woman with a camera, a fiancé, and a dream that many people only talk about but never actually attempt. The dream was simple. Buy a van, convert it into a tiny home, drive across America, documenting beautiful places. In the summer of 2021, Gabby and her fiancé Brian Laundrie began doing exactly that. They called it van life. Endless highways, national parks, sunsets that stretched across desert skis. To thousands of people watching online, it looked like freedom. But sometimes the most dangerous stories begin inside the happiest photographs. Because while Gabby was posting images of mountains and laughter, something quieter was happening behind the camera. Something that would slowly turn a road trip into one of the most haunting true crime stories of the decade. Gabby Petito was 22 years old. Creative, optimistic, and deeply drawn to the idea of storytelling. She wanted to build a life around documenting experiences, the kind of life that makes strangers pause mid-scroll and think, "I wish I could do that." Brian Laundrie had been part of her life for years. They had known each other since high school. When they got engaged, it seemed like the natural next step. Friends described them as a young couple chasing something adventurous. So they bought a Ford Transit van, stripped the inside, and turned it into a tiny traveling home. On July 2, 2021, they left New York and began driving west. The plan was ambitious. Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, national parks, videos, photos, a cross-country journey that would end months later with a full YouTube series. Or at least that was the plan. Because somewhere along that road, the story started breaking apart. If you scroll through Gabby's social media today, something becomes very clear. Everything looks beautiful. Laughing in front of cliffs, walking through forests, holding hands beside a van painted white against open landscapes. But social media has a strange way of hiding reality. The more perfect a life appears online, the easier it becomes to miss the cracks forming underneath. And by mid-August, those cracks were beginning to show. On August 12, 2021, a witness called police in Moab, Utah. The caller reported seeing a man and woman arguing outside a store. The man had reportedly slapped the woman. Police officers soon located the van. What happened next would become one of the most widely analyzed pieces of footage in modern true crime. The Bodycam video shows Gabby sitting in the passenger seat. She's crying. Her hands shake. She apologizes repeatedly. She blames herself for the argument. Meanwhile, Brian appears calm, collected, soft-spoken. The officers eventually determine the situation is a mental health episode, not domestic violence. They separate the couple for the night. Brian stays in a hotel. Gabby keeps the van. The incident ends without charges. At the time, it seemed like a resolved dispute. But after Gabby disappeared, millions of people watched that footage again. And many of them saw something different. Psychologists who later reviewed the footage noticed patterns that are often present in emotionally imbalanced relationships. Gabby appeared extremely anxious. She took responsibility for everything. She repeatedly said, "I'm the one causing the problems." This dynamic appears frequently in relationships where one partner gradually takes emotional control. But relationships are complicated, and police officers often face impossible decisions in real time. They cannot see the future. They can only respond to the moment in front of them. And at that moment, the situation appeared to de-escalate. The road trip continued, but something had already changed. Late August arrived. Gabby was still traveling, or at least that's what people believed. She spoke with her family occasionally. She posted photos online. The journey seemed to continue across national parks and open highways. Then the communication stopped. Completely. Days passed. Then weeks. Her family grew uneasy. When they tried contacting Brian, they received no clear answers. Then something strange happened. Brian returned to Florida, but Gabby did not return with him. On September 11, 2021, Gabby Petito was officially reported missing. What followed was unlike anything investigators expected, because this case wasn't unfolding quietly. It was unfolding on the internet. Thousands of people had already followed Gabby's trip online. Suddenly, they began retracing her steps, watching videos, analyzing photos, looking for clues hidden in plain sight. The investigation became a digital manhunt. One of the most fascinating developments in the case came from an unexpected source. Another YouTube couple. They had been filming their own van life trip through Wyoming. While reviewing their footage, they noticed something. A white van parked near the road. It looked familiar. When they checked the timeline, they realized something chilling. The van in their video matched Gabby and Brian's van, and the footage had been recorded near Grand Teton National Park. That discovery helped investigators narrow the search area dramatically. Within days, authorities found a body. On September 19, 2021, the remains were identified as Gabby Petito. She had died from strangulation. By this point, Brian Laundrie had become the central person of interest. But before investigators could question him fully, he vanished. He left his parents' home in Florida and entered a nearby nature reserve. Days passed. Search teams combed through swamps and dense wilderness. Helicopters hovered overhead. Boats scanned the water. The man who might hold the answers had simply disappeared. For over a month, the country watched the search unfold. Then investigators found something. Personal belongings. A backpack. A notebook. And eventually, skeletal remains. They belonged to Brian Laundrie. The official conclusion: suicide by gunshot. Inside the notebook, investigators said he had written a confession claiming responsibility for Gabby's death. Cases like this often leave something unresolved. Not legally, but emotionally. Gabby's parents have since worked to raise awareness about domestic violence warning signs. They often say the most painful realization came afterward. The clues were there. The anxiety, the arguments, the emotional imbalance. But when you are inside a relationship, those warning signs can become difficult to recognize. Love has a powerful way of distorting danger. One of the most overlooked aspects of this story is how strongly social media shaped public perception. Gabby and Brian's life looked extraordinary online. Beautiful places, adventurous freedom. But the camera only showed what they chose to record. And that raises a difficult cultural question. In an age where millions of people document their lives online, how often do we mistake appearance for reality? How many stories exist where the photographs look perfect, but the truth lives somewhere outside the frame? Today, Gabby Petito's name is no longer just connected to a tragedy. It has become part of a larger movement focused on recognizing relationship warning signs earlier. Her story also changed how investigators view digital evidence. Clues came from everywhere: YouTube footage, TikTok posts, dashcam recordings, cell phone data, ordinary people analyzing information online. The internet helped reconstruct the path of a missing woman across thousands of miles. And in a strange way, the same technology that once showed her smiling across the country ultimately helped reveal what had happened. If you watch Gabby's videos today, something feels different. The landscapes are still beautiful. The roads still stretch endlessly toward distant mountains. But now every clip carries a quiet weight. Because behind every frame is the knowledge that this young woman believed she was documenting the beginning of her dream. Instead, she was unknowingly documenting the final chapter of her life. And sometimes the hardest truth about stories like this is realizing how ordinary they look at the beginning. A road trip, a couple in love, a camera pointed at the horizon. Nothing about it looked dangerous, until it was.
In the darkness, whispers become screams, secrets become weapons, and the truth becomes deadly. This is True Crime Mysteries, The Shadow Lens. Every week, we uncover the stories they don't want you to know, disappearances, cold cases, and the mysteries hiding in plain sight. Subscribe now, and step into the shadows with us.